Yes, hello, and welcome to Celtic World, the channel and podcast that unites the worldwide fan base of Celtic. From Inverness to India, Greenock to Greenland. Wherever you're watching from, you're part of a Celtic world. And it's a very special occasion today. We welcome people from Malaysia, Scotland, and Australia. First of all, Malaysia, David, how's it going?
Fantastic. Obviously, can't wait to get into this one. I'm sure we're going to have fun.
Fun is the key word. Kaiser, you had a fair bit of fun over the weekend.
Yes, I did. I certainly did. Me and Daniel had more than enough fun, ample amounts of fun. As I said, I woke up on the floor suffering from the fun that I endured and got ready to have fun again. I've never had a hangover in my life. That is like one of the things about the old Kaiser. I never get a hangover. So I'm always drinking the next day.
My God. I mean, it's now, 2 full days pretty much since the game. And I'm still feeling the effects of what I consumed on Saturday night. So
I think maybe I drank a little bit too much. It was the full bottle of Buckfast, the Magnum, and then the full bottle of Jack Daniels straight. Maybe that was like just pushing it a bit. You know what I mean? Maybe I should cut that down next time to maybe just leave the Magnum out, have the Jack Daniels and the Buckfast. Those Magnums are strong. They're strong, people.
And Paul, you had one or two in Johnny Fox's. Did you
No
not?
idea what you
Perth?
mean. I did. I had a few more before that. We started a little bit later this time. Last time it was about 3:30. This time it was 4:30. So I gave myself an extra hour, but made little difference. Johnny Fox is home of the Perth Celtic Supporters Club. Had another fantastic night. Managed to avoid a whole pint over me this time, but there was certainly beer flying at a couple of points. I dipped in for a minute or so post-match to join Kaiser and Dano, and he's just told me off air that he can't even remember my appearance. So that's great.
I don't even remember Paul being there.
For anyone that was still tuning in just after the match, it needed to come with a language warning. I was extremely upbeat and somewhat under the influence of alcohol, but yeah, it was nice to pop in and say hello. And a smattering of effing and jeffing. Yeah, great night.
Well, hello to everyone who's in the chat. I'm sure you're all feeling pretty chipper today after the events of the weekend. So that's obviously going to dominate what we're talking about, clearly, but this is what we're going to talk about. Well, where were you watching the game? We've kind of touched on that already. We can get into that in a bit more detail if we wish. And then we'll go through the game, series of stills to remind people and to show Kaiser what actually happened in the game. Probably a fair bit of that escaped his memory. And then we're going to do we'll do the Kilmarnock preview after that. So that's what's on the cards. You were at home, David, or in the Kuala Lumpur CSC?
Yeah, no, I was actually at home because I'd just come back from some work in the Philippines that day. So I didn't bother to go and watch it. There was a fair number came through in Kuala Lumpur to watch the game, so that was great, few numbers. But I was tired and I didn't drink. I watched it sober, and I felt that was the best way to watch Kaiser and Dano, which I did while watching Celtic TV at the same time. And I think I tried to support them by giving them a match commentary so that when they said what's going on, they could read my comments to know what was going on.
Mm-hmm. It was very helpful, David. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, now I'm going to... I was going to call up the game. Yes, it's time to call up the game, which I haven't yet done. Kaiser, tell us a bit more about the watch along with Dano. What if people missed it? What could they be looking forward to the next time?
Why are you asking him?
Because he's one of the stars of the show.
He doesn't know.
Me and Daniel watched the game in part. I have a triple monitor set up here where I do these lives. So I had it on one screen and we were having a drink, watching the game. Just remember losing the plot when John Lundstrom stroked home that impeccable finish. And I remember advertising that he's looking for a new club at the end of the season. So like, I hope he finds himself. Well, I hope he doesn't find a new club. Actually, I hope he stays. I hope they keep him. He was our best player.
Well, we'll definitely get on to Lundstrom. He's supposed to be off to Turkey or Ipswich, isn't he?
He is a Turkey.
Seems to be what they're
Can't
saying.
imagine Ipswich in the Premier League with John Lundstrom on the books, to be honest. If he the Rangers fans can't be bothered with him, I don't think he's going to be Premiership worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, look, let's get into the game and just go through all these moments. It's very useful actually doing this because it reminds you of how many chances we had, for example. That's what I got from today. It was like, it really could have been a whole hatful of goals. You know, some of us were talking big score lines last week. Paul, it's going to be 4-0, it's going to be 5-0. I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Well, I said 4-1, and I think if Matt O'Reilly had tucked that penalty away, it would have been at least that.
Mm-hmm.
I was conservative with saying 7-1. I thought on the balance of the chances and stuff in the game, 7-1 would have been a fair result.
Well, let's have a look at some of these. Within the first minute, David, Forrest, nearly an own goal from a Forrest cross, Butland save.
Nearly. And I can't remember, was Kyogo just about on that one as well? Or did he
He's
kick
behind
in?
it. He
Behind
went
it, and
to
then
get the loose ball, yeah, but it was kicked away.
Yeah. I think importantly, we need to appreciate Forrest's contribution during that game. Started well and contributed with his pace, determination, and crosses in. One of the things that I was frustrated with was the quality of passing from some of our players through the game. But Forrest was delivering. So we could have in this instance, but didn't. And this was early on where there was quite a lot of pressure from us, which then started to subside, which I think we need to talk about as well.
Yeah, well, he did have a great game, especially in the first half. I thought he was excellent. Yeah, this was in the first minute. 4 minutes, Liam Scales, who had a very up and down game. It's fair to say, Kaiser. He did some things very well and some things appallingly.
Yeah, I remember calling it when we were watching along. I was saying, like, when he picks the ball up and he runs from defence and drives forward, I'm like, he's so powerful, such a powerful runner. It's just so unfortunate he does absolutely nothing with the ball when he gets it out. Yeah, if he could like add that final ball, you know what I mean, he'd add a whole lot more to his game. No doubt he's young enough to do it and gained a wealth of experience this season. So like, I'm not too critical of Liam Scales. Everyone knows that. I like Liam Scales. I also thought it was Greg Taylor who was selling him short at the back post. As you see Greg Taylor there, just I don't know what he's doing, scooching. He's catching farts.
6 minutes, Forrest shot after purposeful run from the wing. But the shot was a bit too central and Butland palmed it over. Paul, do you recall this?
Yeah, like I'll be able to recall everything in second hand because I watched it back yesterday. But first half I was good. Second half after the penalty, it would get us a bit sketchy. But I did watch the whole game back yesterday, so yeah, I do remember this. He had a couple of shots early. I think one was well over, and then this one was just too central, like you said, and tipped over. But yeah, early on we were sort of swarming all over them.
But he did show great purpose. He kind of picked up the ball near the wing, didn't he? And then just drove in.
You
know,
yeah, like he's been doing for the last few weeks. He's very, very direct, and he caused Barisic no end of problems all day. Well, yeah, all first half anyway, and a bit of the second.
Oh, this is something that you wanted to show, David?
Well, so one of the things that I thought influenced the fact that we didn't score as many goals was the refereeing, because there were a number of play-ons from the ref. And this in particular is a shocking example. There were many others. He'd been spoken to 4 times about calming it down already. And yet, look at this. That's deliberate. There's no way to say anything other than that's a deliberate foul. That should have been addressed. had they been given some bookings, which they weren't and fully deserved, it would have. So never mind some of our finishing. So, I mean, we can criticise our team a bit about some of the finishing, the scales, yes, on and off, some of his passing and so on, fine. And there's many others, not just picking on scales. But the ref influenced and gave them confidence to be able to come in and leading up to the red card. And and that, I thought, had a severe impact in our ability to dominate, because in the first few minutes we were well up for it, but there were plenty of tackles that should have been addressed by the ref and weren't, and that impacted play, and we shouldn't ignore that.
You're spot on, David. You're spot on. There were two inside the first 2 minutes that at any other point in any other game you'd probably be a booking. Suter comes through the back of Kyogo really early on, but not even a talking to. Lawrence is heavy on Cal, and he wasn't. Yeah, well, there you go. Cal got the treatment. Diamandi, that one was in 8 minutes, and then in 11 minutes he was a heavy on McGregor. So you know there's a few out there already, and then on 18. Lundstrom was in with a scissors, no yellow for that. Hatate does the same tackle later in the game and he gets a straight yellow for it. Like, you're spot on. It just, all those fouls just got overlooked. And yeah, like we've said a lot of times, if you let stuff like that go early, or never punish players with yellow cards, it just allows them to continue to do it with impunity, and it means that they aren't hamstrung. And they're not sort of put back in the box, and it does impact the game as it drives forward. So it's a good pickup, Dave. Absolutely, I spotted it too.
Well, Maida gets a card for going into the crowd. No, we all know maybe you shouldn't do that. It's going to get
apparently booked. He didn't know that. How can he not know that? He's a professional footballer. He says, "I didn't know you'd get yellow carded for going into the fans."
And he's a clean but strong physical player, so he doesn't play dirty or try anything smart. But he was booked, rightly, because you're not allowed to do so. Why wasn't it addressed? And this idea that we've got, because it's a derby match and it's heated, I've got to watch it. No, none of that. Discipline and because it affects the outcome of the game, and it absolutely did. Because it should have been 7-1.
Well, we got a free kick from that, which O'Reilly took pretty good. Flashed wide. Remember this, Kaiser?
Yes, I do. Funnily enough.
And someone mentioned when was the last time we scored direct from a free kick.
I can't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Just to pick up on what David was saying, like leading into that game, Willie Collum was under a lot of pressure. He's not had a game for them since the last time he fell out with him. I think it's almost 2 years he's not refereed their game for. You know what I mean? So that's the first game. That's last chance saloon for him. A lot of people were saying if he had fell on the side of Celtic, or had they seen him, if they had seen him as falling on the side of Celtic, that would have been career suicide for him, because then he's not getting any of their games again, and he's back to refereeing Partick Thistle and Falkirk on the weekend rather than taking the biggest games in the league. So David coming in and saying that Willie Collum let a lot go, but that's very indicative. I just thought Celtic were dominating. We were just outclassing them in every area. And Rangers were right there competing, but I said it during the broadcast, they were competing physically. You know what I mean? It's like they were trying to make it like a battle in that way, a physical battle, and Celtic were just far too intelligent for it. And if a stronger referee had been there, a stronger refereeing performance, lots of them would have been booked, and the football would have flowed a lot better.
Just two comments that came through. One was, why was VAR not actually involved in that particular instance? Why was it not brought into play? Why not identify that?
Their favourite word when it comes to VAR is subjective. VAR seems to be subjective with what it looks at, when it's applied and when it's not applied. It's meant to be when there's a clear and obvious error. I take it the referee missing a forearm smash to a player's face is a clear and obvious error, but I don't know how they implement it.
I think if you look at that clip, it's obvious.
It's not a red though, is it? Right? It's not a red. It's a yellow, and VAR can't get involved for yellow, so it's up to the on-field referee to deal with that, and he doesn't. And he didn't. And as we touched on, and we've spent a lot of time on it, so we probably want to move on. But he missed a lot early on, and he did the classic let the game flow. But yeah, it chopped down on it. Just on the O'Reilly free kick, he almost hit it too well. He got too much bend on it.
I love that particular football cliche. Hit it too well.
Well, he got too much. He got too much. We maybe didn't hit it too well because it like suggests that if it was good enough, it would have gone in. But he got too much bend on it. A little bit less bend, then he catches the inside of that post and it nestles in the back of the net. But it was a good effort.
Silva didn't hit this too well, did he?
No. That was a right chance, and he caused AJ problems. Certainly, all first half he caused them problems. They obviously fell out of it second half, but he and not just with pace, which he obviously did cause him. You'd expect pace to cause problems, but he was out muscled a lot of the time by him, which I thought was concerning. He didn't really stamp his authority on that sort of matchup. And Silva, if he'd been a better player, then he probably helped himself to a goal or two.
Totally agree, Paul. A player I despise. Don't think he's a great player, but he had the measure of AJ, no question.
Cal McGregor shooting wide moments after that. This is on 18 minutes. Still quite a lot of incidents. 19 minutes. Sterling cross for Silva, who doesn't get enough on the header. This was a bloody good chance, actually.
It was. And he's on the wrong side. AJ's got him on the wrong side again there. So there are two gilt-edged chances that he's had inside 20 minutes.
Yeah, is AJ a bit of a concern for people, like Patrick McLaughlin was saying? He's lost patience with AJ.
He's had a mixed season. He's had a real mixed season. He was great last week. I thought he'd had one of his best games in months last week against Hearts, but yeah, it was back to more of the sort of inconsistencies.
I would say
Saturday.
At the start of the season, we were all saying that we expected AJ to really kick on this season for last year, and he didn't really hit the ground running at the start of the year. But definitely, when I think back to the times we were all sitting here and saying Kyogo's lacking supply and he's just not getting that ball, and then AJ stepping up and finding a bit of form partway through the league. So, I think he's a very good player. He's done well. And okay, he is going to lose some physical matchups and battles from time to time, but I don't think we should read too much into it. If we had an AJ for the other side, I would be delighted.
So I think there's a question about there's players who have played out their socks in terms of their capability for us this season, who, from our perspective, aren't just quite good enough to be Celtic players, right? And that goes through the team. You were talking earlier, Kaiser, about Scales and Taylor being the one to impact his game. The question then becomes that I think the issue is, and we talked about Hart at times previously, not being confident enough to build trust with the defenders. CCV goes out and we have issues. When he comes back in, we get the benefit. We see Hatate. He wasn't particularly good in this game. In fact, I thought he had a poor game. But him being out for long periods, these very influential players that have that additional level, something else to draw upon that takes these other players who might be able to have great games if they are surrounded. I think through the team, we just don't have enough of those players, and that's what we've suffered from. So I don't want to be too down on all of these players. We can go through each, and some of them, thankfully, we've managed to get rid of, but we don't have enough true Champions League type players to come in, and we need them.
I don't think we're as far away as people would suggest we are in Europe. You know what I mean? I thought we got some good results in Europe. Matt O'Reilly get man of the match. Liam Scales get a man of the match in the Champions League. So that's a guy who's came from Ireland to Aberdeen on loan, looking like his career was over at the club, to winning a man of the match performance in the Champions League. I mean, to keep Greg Taylor and Anthony, right, to keep Scales and Taylor at the club, right, as backup, I'm 100% on board with that. But yeah, I would love to see he's adding quality. Definitely, we need quality all over the pitch, and definitely the recruitment team being changed is the first signal. So I'm definitely, like I do every year, we get to these stages and start selling yourself a dream of what kind of players we're going to bring in. The manager doesn't even need to sell us a dream. We're selling ourselves it. You know what I mean? So like, I'm very keen to wait and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let's get through the game and then we can talk a bit more about the future. Shall we?
Okay.
Or is your question pertinent to what's on screen?
Just all I was going to say is we've had a lot of plaudits for Ida. Would you sign him after performance on Saturday? I wouldn't. So we're kind of easy to jump on everybody, and I think we need to give it time. Right, I'm out. Go ahead, Gav.
Okay, Matt O'Reilly, as Patrick said earlier, could have taken a touch here. He hits this one first time. Flashed just wide, but he was finding his range, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a sightener, really, isn't it? So he's exactly that. Finds his range, and soon enough, we know what happened next.
30 minutes, Kyogo, close range snapshot, great save, Butland left hand.
Mm-hmm. I remember
another glorious opportunity.
I think he should do better here. I think he should bury this. Yeah, like it's a good reaction save to Butland, but he doesn't have to move his feet. He doesn't have to get full stretch. The wee man should bury that.
Matt O'Reilly scores with Daisy Cutter after lovely move. Let's just talk about this goal for a start. What an amazing move it was, David. 14 passes, somebody said.
So I think Matt O'Reilly, obviously, was he man of the match right enough? Was he? Did he get it? I know he was.
I think he got the sponsors in the ground. I
think he was the balls and shit penalty stuff he was going down on. I think it's where you see in his moves and his presence and his poise to be able to take that was just excellent. It was Matt O'Reilly at his best. It was a terrific goal, and it was taken with the ball moving fast with a number of players, and he found that slot. I thought it was excellent. I thought there's not enough I can say about that, and I think overall in the game, penalty aside, and he can self-criticize, I thought he was excellent. The only thing I was going to say more generally about our play was, did anybody notice the amount of punts that we were taking? So one of the things that we tended to do in this match was we were able to bring it right up to the goal front, but then somehow all of our imagination seemed to disappear. There wasn't creative play at all in front of play, other than those little magics like Matt O'Reilly. And then he had a couple of shots where he sort of swung it swung it right. But I felt overall there were just too many punts that were taking place and not enough control in front of goal.
I think with the chances, I sort of disagree. I think with the chances we've already shown, there was plenty of chances created. There was more second half when we had moving more space. But getting back to the goal, Gav, the goal's absolutely brilliant. It comes from Tavernier with a dreadful pass in our half, and he plays it straight to O'Reilly. And then O'Reilly and Callum McGregor are really the heartbeat of the goal from there. 8 players involved, 14 passes, like you say, 40-odd seconds from O'Reilly first picking it up to being stuck in the back of the net. Only 3 players, including Joe Hart, not involved in it. Really good interplay, really good movement, making space for each other. The little knock between Kyogo and Cal in the midfield to kind of open it up, and then the movement from O'Reilly and Callum McGregor mixing in with AJ and Hattati down. Hattati's on the other side. AJ and James Forrest on the right hand side, until eventually Cal makes the run into the corner, and then O'Reilly loops round behind him. It's a great pass. It's a perfect run, and it's an absolutely brilliant finish. So one of the goals of the season for me, to be honest. Right up there. Really, as good a team goal I think as we've scored all season.
I think the point that David was making is that there was a lot of shots from just at the edge of the box or just outside the box, rather than little slide rule passes into Kyogo or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think that was by virtue of the fact that it opened up for us. There was so much space in that part of the pitch.
I think
they were in a good position to strike.
after the red card, they dropped even deeper. So there wasn't that opportunity. It was really congested deep. So we were sort of, as you said, Gav, we had more space in front of him.
If you look at every still image there, Gav, that you showed of Matt O'Reilly, one of the best midfielders in the entire country, and he's in acres of space every single time. If you're going to afford Matt O'Reilly that kind of space, he's going to hurt you. And like, there's not a single player shutting down, coming at you. The danger signals were there, as we've seen for the free kick where he just missed, in the shot earlier, but it just went by that same post before he nestles one in the bottom corner. So unmark him, leave him free at your own peril. And that's exactly what Rangers did. They left him free and he punished them for it. And David's quite right. There wasn't enough of that little dink pass, that little slide rule pass through, maybe from Matt O'Reilly. Maybe he was under instruction to take more shots on. You know what I mean? Maybe that's something that Brendan had said, or just as David hinted to and Paul hinted to a moment ago, them dropping even deeper just afforded that space there to the midfielders at the edge of the box rather than any space inside the box.
There was a beautiful piece of play. I know that we're not, maybe not second half yet, but there was a beautiful piece of play by Kuhn in their right in front of goal for them, which was terrific and opened up their defence tremendously. Nothing came of it. But it was the thing that I would point to say, why aren't we doing more of this? Although his game fell away after that, but I can't still see why we seem unable to be as creative as we should be right in front of goal.
Well, one other thing to mention about O'Reilly was his appalling effort at spitting. Did you notice that in the game?
No.
This is it.
Oh dear.
I've been slobbered.
I mean, he's just looking, he wants that. He wants a bit.
Say again?
He's too polite. It's not meant to
He
do
was just
these
staring
things.
there like he wanted a bit of that saliva. Look at him, he's like, That's the way my kids look at the ice cream van when it comes into the street.
Well, he goes to do a wee spit first.
Oh.
Yuck. I've been slobbered.
Matt O'Reilly's just too nice a guy. He's too
I'm proud
perfect
of
to
that.
spit. Doesn't do it.
Spits like a girl. There you go, Matt O'Reilly. There's your first ever insult.
And then there was this wonderful moment, of course, that will live long in the memory. Talk us through this goal, David.
Where the ball comes in and he puts it in the back of his own head. What's the...
Well, I mean, CCV's pass.
It starts with that, CCV strikes forward and pings,
What
50,
pass.
60 yards.
Raking diagonal ball.
Crossfield pass, and then Maeda pulls it out of the sky and kills it stone dead. Squares up Tavernier, runs round him like he isn't there, and lays it on a plate for Lundstrom to just stroke it past Butland into the far corner. A piece
Which
of
is what I would have
absolute
said.
beauty.
And having said that, I can't believe David's criticising the creativeness in front of goal. I mean, Lundstrom had the game of his life. What a finish that was, David. A little delicate pass.
You're right. I stand corrected. It was.
The interesting thing about that is the goal was sort of 3 minutes later, but it was only back in play for about 35 seconds because of all the celebrations and all of that. So literally became a theme. 35 seconds after the first goal, restart, we score. 33 seconds, I think, after that restart, after the next restart, we managed to drop one in our net as well, which I presume is where Gav's going to go next.
Well, you presume incorrectly. I was going to play the unique angle of Maeda's goal because the sound of the crowd acknowledging an amazing first touch from Maeda, given that we all know what Maeda's first touch can sometimes be like. The roar,
That's a problem.
the roar he touched the ball was amazing to me. And then, of course, he did that iconic jump into the crowd, which was absolutely brilliant. Absolute scenes. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Class.
You've got to kind of wonder what Lundstrom was actually doing other than trying to score. Yeah, because it doesn't look like anything else.
Well, if you watch it back again, he was running with Hatate, like they were neck and neck, and then Hatate sort of checked back in case the ball was pulled back to that sort of zone. And I think he kept running and was thought that Hatate was right beside him. That was my take on it. And he felt the need to stick a foot out. Yeah,
I
that's my
think
take
the
on
other
it.
thing about that goal.
Well, yeah, I guess if he thinks he's right on his shoulder, he can't allow that to come past him, can he? Because then he's the only player in there, and he'd have a clean shot on goal.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing about that goal, other than the touch from Maida, which everybody loves now, was just his influence in terms of his utter pace, determination, and running and terrorizing. He was superb the whole game. I thought he was brilliant.
He
But
was.
can we
Set the
just
tone.
stay and enjoy Lundstrom's pain a bit more? Because
Sure.
absolute
Sure.
delight, because he's one of the most annoying and horrible of their players, and they've bigged him up, haven't they? So much, the best in the world and stuff. And he was always a really limited player, was he not?
Yes, he was just reveling
bang
in
average.
his pain. You know what I mean? I think that what Monty says there in the chat, it's sheer panic. That's why he puts a toe in that ball, because he can't suffer. He can't even contemplate that Real Hatate has dropped off him. He thinks Real's right beside him, and if he lets that ball go across him, Real's just going to stroke that into the back of the net. No communication for his keeper or anything either. He can see the game. You know what I mean? So, fault of Butland as well. He should be screaming. More to the 12th man's credit then, the noise the crowd were making, perhaps communication could not be heard. So I'll give that one to the fans.
Well, you hear a lot of the Rangers podcasts and all that saying he's never pulling on another shirt again. He's done. He's going to have left Scottish football. So I think we should mark the occasion, the passing of
Have you got a song?
from the Scottish game. I just want to enjoy this. See the way the focus changes from the crowd to him. It's a work of art. Look. Oh, yes. That was just after the own goal.
What song do you think is playing in his mind? Bet she's Penny Arcade. No, there you go. I just wanted to find a new club. Fucking hell, man.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Joy.
Those tears. Okay, so that was that moment. Depressingly followed very quickly by this moment. Paul, why did this happen?
Collectively poor defending as usual. That's what usually happens when we let in goals. Few culprits on this one. If Joe Hart was a keeper that dominated his 6-yard box, he could have come and try and punched it or caught it.
You didn't get the memo. You're not supposed to say anything bad about Joe Hart.
No,
he's the best goalkeeper we've ever had.
He's done a sterling job. We will struggle to replace him for multiple reasons, but he's a little bit at fault there. I don't think he's the most at fault. The defending on James Forrest is posted missing, so they're allowed to double up on AJ, and he's left stranded. Decent crossing by Barisic, but it's got really no pace on it. It's looped in, and then Scales has caught ball watching, because Scales is with Dessers as the ball's down the left hand side, but while the cross comes in, he gets caught, as he often does, and I've made this point multiple times. He gets caught under the ball, and his man's drifted off him. There is a case that Sterling is potentially climbing on Greg Taylor. You can see that two ways. You can say, well, he's got the height advantage. He's got up first, and he's just above him. Or you could say, well, he's actually used Greg Taylor's shoulders to take a ride and get above him. And obviously, I think depending on what colour specs you've got would depend on how you view that. But either way, obviously Taylor gets targeted as well because he's short, and Sterling does have a height advantage on him. He gets up first, and I think he does use Taylor. He sort of pushes him down on his shoulders, gets the ball nodded back across, and then, as I say, Scales is caught napping, and CCV can't get round fast enough, and Dessus has got a pretty simple job to nod it into the empty net. So it's just a poor defensive unit, and poor defending. Back post again. Not enough pressure on crosses. Ages less guilty at this than he has been in recent weeks because he's doubled up on it. He hasn't got anyone else supporting him. Now, whether that's Forrest or someone else from the midfield should be getting out there. He definitely shouldn't have a 2-on-1 situation to defend. Yeah, and from there, we're just a bit outmuscled and outmatched, and it's a really poor goal to lose, particularly 30 seconds after the restart when the game should be. We should be closing. It's back to game management again. We should be closing out that first half at least 2-0, and yeah, we make it harder work for ourselves.
Yeah, I just really hope the next goalkeeper we have is a bit less passive and sort of being stuck on the line. Just come out. You can use your hands. You can jump in the air and look where it was headed in.
To be fair, and you might get to this, but to be fair, late in the game when they did throw something at us, which wasn't much before that, he did dominate the box and win a few punched clearances and kind of took charge. So he doesn't leave his line much, but he has got out and defended his box with some punches across the last few games, and I think he's had a decent second half of the season.
Now then, the sending off happened at what time?
Right on half time, about 45.
Just before half time?
Yeah, literally the 45th minute.
Could it really be that I don't have anything to show for that? It could be. David, talk about it rather than giggling at me.
So, AJ's got the ball starting to clear out, and then from his left, in comes this lunging character who's looking for a new contract and literally takes him out. AJ has cleared the ball, and there's nothing, and he studs it up onto AJ's ankle, and there was. I'm not going to say malice, but it was absolutely clear he was out of control, studs up into his ankles and sent him flying. My question then becomes, why was it only a yellow at first? It was horrible. It looked atrocious. It was clear. There was no attempt on the ball itself. There was no opportunity to get to the ball. It's as bad and as clear of a red card as you're going to see. And there was no need for VAR. It should have been straight red. I don't know why it wasn't.
Well, Kenny Miller is joining us by satellite link to rebut your claims. How funny was that? Kenny Miller going, if it wasn't for VAR, that wouldn't be a red.
Just an absolute roaster.
Exactly. Sometimes things are missed in games. That's why VAR is there.
The way you tried to explain it was like he was harping back to remember Maeda get sent off in the Champions League, and it was the still image that they froze the image, and Brendan had says like that still image makes it look a lot worse than it is. Like no one's under any illusions. You heard Chris Sutton saying that was a red card in the 1970s, Kenny. You know what I mean? That is a disgusting challenge. John Lundstrom just wanted up the tunnel. You know what I mean? He wanted that blue shirt off just as much as they want that blue shirt off him. You know what I mean? He was choking to get down the tunnel and put that in the bin on the way, get his cellar shower and get up the road. And I'm glad he did it because it made it better for us when they kind of keep their temper and lose their temperament in the game. It was always going to happen. As David says, the referee was very weak. No wonder it was a yellow card, David. You know what I mean? You know exactly why. That was to give them the opportunity to remove them.
Absolutely. It kind of... It was a pattern of from the referee that led to only a yellow in that. It was impossible. Who couldn't see that as a red? All of the pundits, other than Kenny Miller.
Well, as I said, I had drank a bottle of Magnum by this point, right? A full bottle of Buckfast, and I was on the Jack Daniels, and I was screaming it was a red card instantly. You know what I mean? Instantaneous as soon as I seen the challenge.
Well, I heard somebody making the point that it was it wasn't that easy to see it instantly because of the direction of travel of the ball after the impact. You know, it might have been that he'd got the ball and took the player at the same time. And it was only with the benefit of VAR that it was like, oh, I didn't realize it was as bad as it was until I saw the VAR.
Yeah, I didn't think he was as high up the leg as he was, and I wasn't sure he was as the studs were as straight because he flew in, right? He was complete. So he's clearly out of control, which obviously everyone else said, and Miller tried to suggest he wasn't out of control. But he clearly was out of control. So that it's debatable at that point. Even if he gets the ball with the pace he's launched himself at and being out of control, it could still be a red. We've seen them given this year already. But when, and you're right, Gav, because the ball shoots off in the same direction as, you know, it would do if he connected with the ball. You know, it's difficult to tell, you know, but as soon as you see a still, as soon as you see it slowed down, Age is really lucky his foot wasn't planted, because if his foot's planted, he's almost certainly got a broken leg or a broken ankle. It's a shocking tackle. It's a shocking tackle. It's indefensible. But I do think you can give the ref some benefit of the doubt in terms of the pace it was at, because I don't know his exact positions. I can't remember where he was on the field. And bear in mind that we're sort of building out from the back and he's expecting the ball to come forward. So his position could have been reasonably far up the pitch, probably in the middle of the pitch. And there might have been players between him. So you'd want them to get that right. And that's what VAR's for. And they came to the right decision and they've dealt with it. So
what was the yellow given for?
Well, he's obvious. I think he's assumed he's got the ball, but he's out of control and he's flying in, so he's given him a yellow. That's what I think That's what I think he thinks he sees.
So that's my question then. What is the yellow given for?
For the follow
and what did he see?
Because he thinks he's got the ball, but he's
got the ball, but also took the player, and it was
took the player. So it's probably borderline that could have been upgraded to red, even if he got the ball. But he's entitled to call that as a yellow if he thinks he gets the ball on the pitch. Spot on. That's what VAR's for. Kenny Miller, absolutely ridiculous, because it's exactly what VAR's for. The referee has not seen it quite clearly, and VAR tells him to go have a little look, and it's one of the easiest decisions to have once you've seen the footage.
Well, we better make some progress. There's not as much to talk about in the second half, but let's run through them. 46 minutes, Matt O'Reilly creates space and shoots wide. And then Matt O'Reilly penalty kick. Oh, yes. Now, the penalty incident. I haven't been consuming that much Celtic stuff since this game. I've been consuming more Rangers stuff, I have to say. But yeah, like to a man, they're appalled and they find it inexplicable that this could possibly be a penalty. And I just sit watching it in disbelief thinking, what are you talking about? It was a penalty when it happened. I knew it was a penalty. And then all VAR is for, surely, is to double check that there was contact. You know, that's all the referee needed to see in the replay. I mean, he was like, I saw what happened. The guy came behind him, clipped his back of his back leg or whatever in the box. You know, penalty, right? Am I going mad?
So it was a penalty, but there was something of a pause in which Matt O'Reilly sort of put himself forward. There was a delay between the penalty happening, which was a penalty, and his ultimate reaction.
Well, he makes a meal of it, doesn't he? He makes a meal of it.
But he pauses.
He does what every professional knows they need to do in this day and age, because referees aren't smart enough to know that if you're clipped and try and stay on your feet, you don't usually get it. So you've got to go down. And he gets the contact, and then he goes down, and it's a bit of an exaggerated fall.
The two arms were not good. Don't do the two arms.
He's sort of looping down and a bit arced. It's a bit pathetic, to be honest, but there's definite contact. The funniest one I saw on social media was some Rangers fan trying to compare it to the Dessers Lagerbielke incident in the first derby, and saying we just want some consistency. You've got absolute consistency.
That is consistency. I was confused about that too.
It could be. What he didn't mean we just want consistency. What he meant was we want these to not be fouls against us. But it's you know, it's a foul. It's a penalty all day long.
Contact's contact, and Paul's right. That's what I was always taught when I was playing football. If you feel any contact, you go down. And of course, Matt O'Reilly's not an expert like Silva. You know what I mean? He's not perfected the craft of diving, so we can let him away with his dive being a bit shoddy. But
I'm a bit older
definitely
school.
contact.
I'm a bit older school than you guys are. I used to try and stay on my feet, but I regularly got frustrated because you stay on your
Because you never
feet,
got
you're
the
impeded.
decision.
You never got the decision, and the ball's got moved away from you. So yeah, you've got to go down.
I went down like Red October, bro. I was like, boom.
All right, 58 minutes. Cal Mack low shot saved by Butland. Again, tons of shots from that range, as we've mentioned already. Maida offside, his first offside goal after being fed through.
Mm-hmm.
The corner flag, the replacing of the corner flag after it was pulled out by Raskin. We're probably up against it in time to have this, to talk about side issues like this. But in this day and age, what's the point in corner flags? Do we really need them? What are corner flags for?
Yeah, they let you know where the corner is.
Well, okay. Meaning?
When the ball hits off it, it can go out for a corner or a shy. So it's a very clear dividing line.
I know, but in this day and age where we know how, I mean, the ball's not the sensors
Well, we don't
and all
want-
that we have. Do
Well,
we need
if-
a plastic pole for
I think
to
we
be
do.
a physical object that the ball has?
I don't
to hit?
think you want to give it over to VAR.
Well, you'd have to everyone that would rolled into the corner. If there's no corner flag, you'd have to put it. Yeah, you'd have to get somebody right on it to check is that a throw in or is that a corner. Stop messing with the game. The game's been messed up
Stop
enough
messing with
over the last few
game.
years.
It's
Just
a
leave
very
corner flags
simple
alone.
solution.
What am I
Leave
going to use
corner
to play
flag
the
alone.
guitar when
Anyway,
I'm celebrating?
The Bricky did a good job. The Bricky did a good job. Put it back. Did a little renovation, and it was back on. So yeah, he lived up to his nickname.
Yeah. All right.
Incidentally, he was
Ralston-
great when he came on.
He was great. And Adamida, as you've mentioned, David, my God, he had so many chances. I didn't realize until I was doing this how many chances he had. First of all, Ralston crossed in to Ida here. And it went past that first defender in front of Ida, and he wasn't kind of expecting it. And then the moment was lost. Remember that?
It wasn't his finest game. And leading up to this, I was very much warming up to Ida. I thought, big, strong player, big, strong striker, holding the ball up, was really thinking he could be an influence. And he did, because he's been coming on at this point in many games. He's never been getting a start, has he? And then he just seemed to be not at the races in this game at all. Seemed to fluff everything. Didn't influence, wasn't passing, couldn't take whatever was given to him. I don't know.
I think
Cool.
I would reserve judgment, right? With the cup final coming as well. We've still got Ida here for that, and I know there's talk of him being 5 million and whatnot. He does come on, and he is making driving runs, and he's in the areas where you want your striker to be. You know what I mean? He's just squandering the chances. But I couldn't help when I was watching it, I was thinking, like, where was that supply for Kyogo when he was in there? Maybe the Bricky was on, slotting them in and fixing corner
That's right.
flags.
He got far more of the ball than Kyogo did, and that seems to be a feature. Here, all he had to do on 84 minutes, he has a choice. He can go for Maida in front of the goal, or just tuck it back here to the onrushing Kuhn. But unfortunately, he chose the former. And then from an O'Reilly cross, the ball comes to Ida. Here he is trying to swing his leg at it, but the defender just does enough. 85 minutes. Maida offside on 88 minutes after a run from way back in the field from Kuhn. Remember, he did a big
finish.
long run.
Really good finish.
Unfortunately, he had just strayed offside, much to Peter Grant's annoyance.
Shouldn't really be offside. With his pace and looking across the line, he shouldn't be offside. But you notice his finishing's always tremendous when he is offside.
92 minutes, Ida runs through and shoots. Should have fed Matt O'Reilly. I mean, he could have bagged a few goals if he'd been a bit sharper.
That chance there reminded me of Silva's chance for them in the first half, where he just tries to square it across, go for the far post. But once again, it's just like he's taking just selecting the wrong option, but he's getting there. He's got the ball. He's in dangerous areas. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I try not to be too hard. You know what I mean? I can imagine the pressure the players under, just wanting to come in and impress right there. You know what I mean? Weight of the world
No,
on
and
your
he's only been with us for a few months. You know, he doesn't know the other players that well and stuff. I think he's got loads of potential. There's my favourite fan of the day. There's somebody who has more confidence in his amount of hair than he ought to. It's about time he went for the number one.
I think he's just got a
trouser.
fringe and he's brushed it back over. Like, see, if you just grew your fringe, Gav, long and then brushed it back.
I have no fringe. That's funny. But yes, look, we did the job. So, you know, it was obviously wonderful. Well, we did exactly what we had to do. So everybody assumes we're going to be champions now.
Yes,
Well,
we are.
Anyone want to make the case that it's not over yet?
No, I think even Manesh put on that it's they've got a 1% chance of Rangers winning the title. So I think we'll call that home and hosed. I think the one thing I wanted to mention about the last 15-20 minutes now, us and every Celtic fan around the world would have been extremely nervous in that period. But actually watching it back, there wasn't much to be nervous about other than the fact there was just a 1-goal lead. They didn't test us at all. Like I said earlier, Joe Hart had a few punches. The Bricky had a few heat-clearing headers. But I don't think they had anything on target. I don't think Joe Hart had, other than pick the ball out of the net, I don't think he had a save to make all day. So yeah, once you can sit back and watch it, knowing how the result pans out, there was actually very little threat from them in the closing minutes. It was a bit of a kind of a meek finish for them, given what was on the line.
Mm-hmm.
On the title, by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if they choke it on Tuesday night, and we're already
That's
champions
possible.
by the time we go to Kilmarnock.
John Lundstrom's game against Celtic, the worst rated in a Scottish Premiership match this season, his individual performance. That's nice, isn't it?
I thought
What else we got here? You've all seen this picture. Look at that.
Yeah, it's a belter.
Absolutely brilliant. And there's another version of it. That's Maeda in the crowd. O'Reilly trying to come and save him. But look at the emotion. Look at the energy of the people. Huh? Look at that.
Look at that wee guy's face. He's just like, he's
This one
drowning
guy?
in people there. He's like, brilliant. Love it.
Scenes replicated in pubs and bars and clubs and houses all over the planet.
Absolutely amazing. Oh yes, what about this? When did this happen? This incident with Alex Ray?
This was
I didn't know that one in a bit. If you look, the picture from the other side is Brendan just laughing at him. So
Yeah.
I don't know what he's holding about. There it is, exactly.
I seen one today on Twitter, and it's Ray's face on a bottle of gin, and it just says Ray Gin.
Oh yes, I saw that. Look, the hands in the pockets and all. He's pretty relaxed, isn't he?
Hands in his
Yeah.
hips. He's bent his knees in. He's doing the time warp.
It's like when Beale went after John Kennedy, and John Kennedy was like, "What?" He looked puzzled by it rather than bothered. What are you doing?
Okay,
Still
so
think it would have been better if Brendan would have like spinning heel kicked him to the face. You know what I mean? Conor McGregor style, and then apologise to no one.
let's just run through some of these other little things you may have seen on Twitter. If you thought, this is Phil McGinley, if you thought Matt O'Reilly's goal today looked very familiar, well, it's because it was. Oh, that's always happens.
Buffering.
Stuart Armstrong.
Yeah. Pretty similar, all right. Oh, this was funny. This is from Tim Alloy 15. Serial losers. Did anyone see this? This is Rangers actually are sponsored by Kellogg's. Kellogg's have a sponsorship deal with them, and they made them all boxes of cornflakes with their names on them. And then all the players turn up after this stops doing this. The players all turn up to pick up their boxes of cornflakes. Butland. I thought it was a wind-up. I thought some Celtic fans had done this for a laugh.
Cheerios. Lundstrom's Cheerios. Bye.
I've got fast internet. I don't know why this happens. Anyway.
Because you've got so many windows open and you're doing, so it's like the processing. Yeah.
Doing too many
Come
things.
on. This is the basics.
Shut up.
Paddy Lavery reckons your Wi-Fi shit.
I'm going to say hello to my wife who's in the comments saying she likes my TV face. Never knew I had one.
It's better than your radio face, David.
This is a post by the Celtic Way here, or any other faces David might pull. But this is a...
Wow. Wow.
This post, which I'm not going to try and play, is by the Celtic Way, and it's basically talking about... They were such long ball merchants, my God, the whole game. It was the floor is lava style football. Basically hoofing it in the air, not along the ground at all. They were unbelievably long ball merchants in this game. And I had to take somebody up on it. I saw them saying it was like watching Wimbledon. I went to watch Wimbledon for several years, and they weren't as bad as that. The period that I was watching them, they played a lot better than that. It was absolutely horrific.
But the thing is, you say, people that say, oh, it's like watching Wimbledon, that's only if it works, because Wimbledon were very proficient at the long ball, John Fashanu knocking stuff down and players scoring goals off him. They've been absolutely hopeless with it. Their fans are, I've been the same as you, Gav. I've kept an eagle eye over the last 48 hours on some of the stuff that's coming out of them, and they are majority fuming that Clement doesn't seem to have any style, any identity.
Yeah.
And a lot of people try to defend him, saying, "Well, it's the same old players that have let different managers down." But even at that, every manager that comes in has got to think about a new way to try and maximize what you've got. And I think he's flattered to deceive for a few months, and ultimately it's unravelled it when it really needed to be. When they needed to push on and actually do something of any importance, they've done what they always did. And actually, his record over a period, I think, is now worse than Beale's and Gio van Bronckhorst. So,
and if he doesn't win the Scottish Cup, then he goes into next season. It's just Beale all over again. The start of next season.
And they're talking about they're talking about a massive rebuild. God knows what they're going to do to that. They've got players on long contracts. And then the first
derby is the answer again.
Well, in the first derbies, they haven't even got the benefit of the first derby being at their place. It'll be back to being at Celtic Park again. So could be staring down the barrel of, what would that be, 5? If we're jumping ahead, but you'd like to think that we would actually start to put a big score together against them in the cup final, and then be ready to roll for next season.
Plunge McNugget coming in with a good badum-tish here. They're sponsored by Kellogg as their cereal losers. We're sponsored by Doug Meat as we're win a lot. Oops. Oh, I don't know why I put that one up. That was accidental. But yes, that poster of the 70s female tennis player is very pleasing. Okay. So, no, come on, lads in the chat. Now they're all going to be talking about that poster for the next 10 minutes, as they tend to. Right. There's another game coming up before we meet. When's the next game? Wednesday
night for us.
Right. So we let's do a super quick preview of the next game. David, tell us about it.
Hold on. I'm just pulling up the details because I don't know who it is.
We're playing Kilmarnock.
We're playing Kilmarnock. It's 2:30 in the morning. And because I'm not travelling this week, as I thought I might be, I'm probably going to 2:30. Yeah, I can do a 2:30 and stay up for that.
2:30 in the morning?
No, I can do that.
Come on, Gav.
I'm not travelling, and
I always get up at those games. Always get up.
You're doing the drink along, David?
Me and Paul are going to do it now. Now he says he's up. Will be coffee along. We could do a coffee along. That might be funny. No, as funny as you guys.
It depends on where you're getting the coffee. Is it an enema? Coffee enema along?
I'm utterly into my Vietnamese coffee just now, and that's a different story. We'll talk about that a different time, Kaiser. You and I.
It's
off
incredibly
the show.
strong. Did you buy any copy Luwak when you were there?
Copy Luwak? No, I haven't
That's the
so
one
far.
that comes through the civet cats and this pit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The cat-
No,
Catches
I've
through
had
the
that in the
digestive
Philippines,
tract.
but I had that in the Philippines. They've had it, and it was okay, I guess, but not in Vietnam. What do I predict for the Kelly game? So I think there's an absolute confidence around the team. I don't think the players have been firing on all cylinders as they might have done at the weekend. I think it was a great result. I think it was the right result. So I can only imagine that we're going to put Kilmarnock in their place, and I would say a 3-1 win to us.
Kaiser, are we going to win the league there?
Yeah, well, we all Kilmarnock are doing. See Brendan just starting the same squad as David says. Confidence is up. Everyone's buoyant. We're getting close to the end of the season anyway. There's only a few games left. So no concerns for any of the players injury-wise. I was thinking earlier on in the week, like maybe hold Cameron Carter-Vickers off because of the cursed carpet, because it's like artificial surface. But if he's willing to play, then just let him play. I can see Brendan going there with his strongest squad. Yeah. And I can see he's beating them maybe 3-4-1. But see what happens.
Mahesh coming in with home and away XG form, predicting Killy away, just as tricky as Rangers at home, predicting Celtic by 1 or draw. Home and away XG form has 75% accuracy. Okay.
Well, I'm 100% good looking, bro, and I says it's happening my way.
361 people watching.
There's a
Hello
stat
to you
for you.
all. If you're watching for the first time, here's a message for you.
How's it, bro? Loving a Celtic world. It's fantastic. Definitely worth a subscribe, hey.
Hey, you see, I had to write in hey because they wouldn't do the South African hey.
How's it, bro?
So, yeah. If you haven't, please feel free to subscribe. If you're watching on Twitter or what's the other place? Instagram. So what else are we going to talk about, Paul? What's your prediction for the game?
I think we'll get the job done. I think we might even manage a clean sheet. 2-0.
2-0, job done. We play first, isn't that right?
No, they play first. That's what I said earlier.
play on
I wouldn't be
Tuesday.
surprised if they choke on Tuesday. And
They choke on Tuesday, yeah.
if they don't win on Tuesday night, then they've got Dundee at home. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's no pressure really on them, but equally, midweek under the lights, they'll be on a downer. Lundstrom
Good looking panel
suspended.
of boys, says George Robertson.
George probably needs a
reminds me.
visit to. He probably needs a visit to Specsavers, I would say, but appreciate it, George. Thank you.
No,
Bit early to
you
be on
go.
the drink.
You go to, and then if I go to and then if you go to Specsavers, and then I think you should go to Specsavers.
I'm not sure what's
Charlie
happening
Nicholas.
with David. I think he's having
Charlie
a funny time.
Nicholas.
Yeah.
Charlie Nicholas. For God's sake. Oh my God. If you've got to
A nice,
explain the joke, come on.
a nice current reference there. There we
Oh
go.
my goodness.
I
Well,
thought we
what I
weren't
was
doing
going to
adverts.
say,
I thought we weren't doing adverts on this channel.
what I was going to say is someone, George, was it, mentioned what a good looking panel we are, and we've got a little video to play of a compilation of the other side's tiers. And there was a point I was going to make about this. I know facial hair is all the rage these days, but not everyone should have facial hair, as this video shows. But anyway, enjoy this.
Care. That result tonight has won us the league. Bookmark this, cut this, do whatever you want, mate.
That's life. That's what all the people say.
Don't know what to say.
You're riding high in April, shut down in May.
Really go
But I
take crunch time and
know it means
Another Celtic league title
I don't know where to start with this team, honestly. I don't. Manager has to be included in this because he makes a fuck off errors as well. When he came in, I thought he's different. Just starting to question him, Mark. I'm starting to question the manager.
But he's not out of control. No, he's not. He's not out of control.
John Lundstrom out of control.
Okay.
Reckless. That's
Do you want me just to say, okay, it's a red card?
It was a double red card. I would love to stick up for you, but I just think...
I don't need anyone to stick up for me. They've got it to this, and it's still not done as yet.
Form is temporary, but being painfully average is permanent.
Well, season's over.
That's it.
Rangers deserve zero credit.
Clement's starting to use up his credits that he got for pulling us back into the title race.
Shows you how fucking bad can't
That's
no
not
view.
view.
Can't even get a sniff.
Why
What is that?
He's sitting there talking that way about Celtic? It's a rivalry game. Why are we talking about riding the storm? Can we never beat this storm? Oh God, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing it.
Pathetic. I think they're blowing it big style. I think they had a major chance to win this league.
We aren't the good, so what can we actually complain about?
And I'm actually that season and sick to the back teeth of this football team. These same players, these same fucking bozos. You try and win the game for the start and don't fucking wait and hope that Celtic don't put us to the sword again. And guess what? Guess who was at fault for the first fucking goal? Borna Barisic. And who's the other player that everybody said probably shouldn't have started? John Lundstrom. Who was at fault for the second goal? John Lundstrom.
Gladiators there, and yet I think we are now in that situation.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Brilliant. How about that? That was I Want That Be Adored. Put that together, so very well done from him.
I'm dead, I'm not happy.
Steely. I had another wee one here from Steely. We may as well chuck that one in for a laugh.
Oh, Steely.
Very
I
short.
haven't seen much from him.
It's very, very short. It's just this.
Foreseeable future.
Let's see that again.
Enjoy staying losers for the foreseeable future.
Brilliant. For the foreseeable future, I mean, that is really the case.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was their chance to try and change the whole story. They're still in the sort of post-liquidation disaster zone. And this season was their way out of that. They totally blew it. So enjoy staying losers for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm. No more confetti share issues on the horizon. Oh, there might be.
It's going to come. There's no question. Stuff's going to start happening there. No question.
All right, guys. Well, I think that was a lot of fun. We've enjoyed talking about the game, watching their pain, reminiscing about what Kaiser doesn't remember from the drink along. And
a lot.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you very much, everyone in the comments. And thanks to all of you.
Have we got any exciting to look forward to on Thursday?
In terms of
someone who's coming on? Someone coming on to the show on Thursday?
Christophe is supposed to be coming on. That'll be exciting. Christophe Ajorge.
It is for me. I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
It's going to be representing La France. So we'll see you back here for that. And it could be that we're all champions then.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean mushrooms. Okay. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail, legends.
Hail, hail.